There's this steel clamp. This is called a self-leveling clamp, and what this does is it locks the blade in perfectly level to make sure that the edges are going to come off nice and even. And not understand what it is, but what the machines do and why they're so much better than what you're going to find at most pro shops. So you can see exactly what we do here at Canadian Edge Custom Skate Sharpening and Profiling. I'm going to show you a few different working parts and really what makes us so different from most pro shops out there. First off, we're going to take a look at the machine. We're going to take off the cover here, and it's going to expose the inside. I'm just going to show everybody some parts of the machine. You'll notice this here is called the grinding wheel, and it spins, and this is going to create the hollow in that little groove in between your inside and your outside edges of your skate. What we have underneath here, this is called a spinner. What this does, you can see there's like a groove. Oh, there we go. You can see there's like a groove there. What that does is it dresses the stone, or it shapes the stone, so that way it can put the correct hollow on the skate when we sharpen it. Another really interesting point, what makes us so different here at Canadian Edge Custom Skate Sharpening and Profiling over other stores. When you head to another store, they're going to have one wheel on the machine, and say the last guy wanted 5/8. and you want 3/8. That's a pretty big difference. If you tuned in last week, again, you'll see 5/8 is more on the shallow side of things, and 3/8 is very deep hollow. Here, let's just say that this was a 5/8 wheel right here, and then the next guy wanted 3/8. So they go and they put the 3/8 spinner on there, and they dress the 5/8 wheel down to 3/8. If they do not dress the wheel enough, or properly, if they're not diligent about that, what can easily happen is you end up getting stuck with something in between 5/8 and 3/8. If they go to dress the stone really quick and they don't do a really good job, it won't be 5/8 any longer, obviously, but it won't necessarily be 3/8. So the problem that ends up happening for the customer is you walk out with your skates thinking that they're 3/8, and you wonder why you can't get the same bite that maybe you got the last time. So here at Canadian Edge, what we do is every single spinner or hollow combination has a matching wheel. Here at Canadian Edge, what we do is every single spinner or hollow combination has a matching wheel. Have our 5/8 wheel, right? 1/2 inch is right here. It's already on it. Then for the really deep hollows, again for the younger kids, like 60 pounds, 70 pounds and around there, we got 3/8. So the reason why this is so important is because now when we sharpen a pair of skates and the customer wants 3/8 or the customer wants 5/8 or whatever they want, they are going to get exactly that. They're not going to get a wheel that's been used for some other hollow before, and we just hope it's going to be dressed properly for them. Keep that in mind when thinking about going to other places that maybe aren't as experienced as we are here. We've been in the business now for 21st year anniversary. Been sharpening skates now for 21 years. That's the spinner there that dresses the stone. Again, just to reiterate, this is the grinding wheel. Now there's 2 robotic arms on this machine. So this is completely automated. It's like a little robot that's going to sharpen the skate. There's one robotic arm that's this black arm here. And what that's going to do is it's going to move that skate over the grinding stone at a constant speed. And why that's so important is because as human skate sharpeners, it's inevitable. Even the best skate sharpeners are going to change their pace slightly on the wheel. If you do that, wherever you change your pace, so say you go fast, that hollow isn't going to be as deep. Or say you go slow, the hollow is going to get really deep. The purpose of this robotic arm is to keep that sharpening as consistent as possible, and it also makes sure that your blade is never burnt. If you've ever taken a look at your blade after you've had it done before, and maybe seen like a dark gray or like some black kind of zigzags on it. I know some of the home sharpeners, they're really bad for that. Or maybe it looks gold. That's one of the worst ones, when it turns gold. And what that means is that's not a good thing. It actually means that the blade has been burnt. And when you heat the metal up too much, you run the risk of warping the metal. Be careful of that. Inspect your blades when whenever somebody sharpens them, and when you take a look, they should have a nice sheen, a nice silver sheen on them. And if they don't, then you know that maybe too much pressure was applied when sharpening them. Not going to be able to see it here, but I'm just going to move it manually for a second. You see how that grinding wheel is going to move up and down. The reason why this arm is so important is because when we talk about profiling a little bit later on, when you have your skate profiled, you don't want to lose that profile the minute you give it to somebody to have it sharpened. What that arm does is it's going to contour the skate to match that profile. The great thing about the CAG1 machines is we got a CAG1 profile, we got a CAG1 sharpener. They're sisters. They read each other's minds.
What would you do with a brain if you had one?
Whenever this profiles a skate, when we put the skate then on this machine, it works by pin. The skate sharpener has a brain.
If I only had a brain.
And it can actually think. It has a CPU in it, and the CPU recognizes what the profiler does, and then it makes sure that as it sharpens it, it keeps the profile as constant as possible, which is so important because I've had other people before bring me their skates after they've been profiled, and after just one skate sharpener I had in one instance, a fellow who was sharpening them, he pushed so hard and curved the blade so much on the back that a normal profile takes between 12 and 20 passes. It actually took 40 passes to get the skates back to where they should have been. And that was only after one skate sharpening. So we're going to fire up this bad boy. I haven't touched these skates yet. Got my little edge checker here. Basically, it just lets us know if the blade is level or not, or if there's an edge that's higher. This one here, as you can see well, on the left side, there's those blue balls are rather big. You can see the entire ball, but on the right side, it's kind of cut off. So you can see how there's a bit of an angle there. After we put it on the machine, we should be able to get that. Okay, so we got it locked in. We'll put the cover back on. There's actually a measuring ruler on this robotic arm. So we center the blade to make sure that the machine knows where the center of the skate is. Then after that, there's this steel clamp. This is called a self-leveling clamp. And what this does is it locks the blade in perfectly level to make sure that the edges are going to come off nice and even. Going to what's called dress the stone. We're just going to clean the carbon off from the last skate sharpener, make sure we have a nice fresh wheel, be able to give a good hollow. So we'll start the wheel right now. It's going to be a little bit quieter than it normally is because I don't have the vacuums turned on today, so you can all hear me. We're going to take manual control of the arm, and we're just going to bring the grinding stone to meet that spinner. You're going to hear a bit of a grinding sound here. Alright, there's a little black carbon ring from the last skate sharpening on the stone. Now it's nice and pink, so it's ready to go. There's a button on the side, there's a button in the front. We're going to hit that. And we get to watch the sparks fly. So you see how the robotic arm is moving at a constant speed across the wheel. It's a nice slow pace, but not so slow as we talked about before that it's going to burn the blade, which is highly, highly important. You'll also notice the grinding stone, the pink grinding stone, it's going to actually dip down and match the curvature of the blade, as I already profiled this skate a little bit earlier on. So this way that profile is going to stay consistent. There's also two different modes on the machine. You'll see where this red light here is. There's a little rabbit. Okay, these creators in Sweden have a sense of humor. And there's a little snail. So this guy is on the rabbit, is doing 8 passes. So what it'll do is 7 passes on the rabbit, and then the very final pass to put a really nice edge on it, you'll see this click over to the snail as it just did there. And now you'll see that robotic arm is going to move
nice and slow
across there. But again, the pressure stays constant, so there's no need to worry or jeopardize the burning of the blade. Perfect. Now the machine will shut off. We'll wait until the wheel stops spinning. And then we're going to move on to our next part, which is the stoning of the skate. So the final thing, again, quality control is extremely important to us here at Canadian Ed. We make sure that every skate is absolutely perfect before it leaves. I treat every customer's skates as if they were my own. But you can see there's exactly the same amount of blue on those balls on both sides of the gauge there. You know, as much of a perfect science as custom skate sharpening is, a lot of it has to do with the player.